Hello everyone and welcome to Colin Talks Crypto. And I thought it would be fitting to bring us another episode of EOS Mega Update Volume 4. So you've been waiting for it, I've been waiting for it, the community has been waiting for it, the EOS app on the Ledger Nano S. We have been waiting for a wallet, and there's been talks of the creation of a wallet by a user named CryptoFairy. He's been giving us a few updates here and there. We hadn't heard from him in a few weeks, and here he is with another update. And look at this, a screenshot of his device, his Ledger Nano S, with the EOS icon, and he's got a wallet here. He says, "Hello EOS community, it's time to share some new insights about development of the wallet. This article will be short. No more words, just watch." I like it. A man of few words. He's all about action. So when we click on the link, we basically get to a video, and let's watch it.
Hello EOS community. This is a short demonstration of a new EOS wallet which works with Ledger Nano S device. So here we have desktop application of the wallet.
And I'll put the link in the description so you can watch this on your own, but let's just fast forward and look at a few shots of this. So basically he connects to the testnet and he transfers some jungle tokens and he signs it on the device itself. On the right here, you can see that he's basically confirming the transaction, just like a regular Ledger Nano S transaction. It shows the amount, it shows the recipient, and he says, he clicks the right button on the Ledger Nano S to send it, and it sends it, and it makes a transaction ID. And so basically it's a fully working product. So that's very exciting. That gives us the hope of being able to actually store our EOS on our Ledger Nano S's, which I think a lot of us want to do based on just the sheer number of people I've been seeing in the community asking for it. I know me personally, that's the only way I store my crypto now. So I'm just waiting for that day. There's a lot of us who probably won't even move our tokens until we feel secure in having them on a hardware wallet. And actually I asked CryptoFairy down here in the comments on his YouTube channel and he answered, which is great. I said, hey, I'm guessing it would be necessary to create a new EOS account to use with the Ledger, right? And he said, not necessary. You can either create a new account or you can change the owner and or active key or add a new key to your account. So you can do either way. You can create a brand new wallet just for use on the Ledger, or you can actually just modify your account ownership, the owner or the active keys, create a new key and import that onto the Ledger. And that's amazing. So we don't have to even create entirely new accounts. So a couple options there. So this is sounding really great. I don't know how much time he needs. Again, he's a man of few words, but he seems to drop news bombs when he's got something worth releasing. So very looking forward to this. So this is CryptoFairy. He should get a $50,000 reward from this when he's done creating it. So I think he's well deserved it, and I hope he gets that. Okay, let's move on to the next news here, guys. I found some interesting posts on Telegram from Dan himself. And let's just go through these. The first of which is, I think, the most important. I've got it selected. He says, RAM fee should be burned. In the future, I would like it directed to staked token holders. And that's phenomenal news because basically right now what happens is every time RAM is traded, there's a 0.5% fee, whether you buy it or you sell it. So if you buy and sell, it equals a 1% trading fee. And instead of burning it, in the future, what he's saying is he wants that 1% or that 0.5% for every trade to go to users who are staking tokens. Because right now there's no real benefit of staking tokens other than you can vote. You have to have staked your tokens to vote. But as he says, there's a time cost to users having to research block producers to vote and spending their time, and they don't get anything for it. Yes, you could say that it helps ensure the survival of the network, which it totally does. But most people, I think, aren't that long-term looking. And so what this does is it gives an incentive to stake your tokens, and then it may be more likely for people to vote. But if nothing else, the awesome thing about staking your tokens like this and getting a reward, getting a cut of this RAM trading fee instead of burning it, is it rewards the token holders for holding. Because if you stake your tokens, you can't transfer them, you can't sell them unless you unstake them, which takes 3 days. And so what I predict will happen when this gets put in place, I'm guessing this will get put in place with the new constitution. So what I'm predicting will happen, it will then take tokens out of liquidity. The value of the EOS is going to go up because there's less EOS in circulation, because most people are staking them because they want that reward. And so it'll have a positive effect on the entire ecosystem. All holders of EOS will be rewarded both directly and indirectly, both with the rewards of the RAM trading fees, but also in the increased price of the EOS token. That's the indirect benefit, because many people will be doing this. Therefore, less liquidity, less tokens on the market. You have a reduced supply because all the tokens are staked, thus higher value. So this is genius, and I don't know why I didn't put this in the first place, but maybe you just thought of it afterwards. Really looking forward to this. This is very similar to what I was dreaming and hoping for on the Ethereum blockchain with Casper, because stakers on Casper would get rewarded with tokens. And I thought, this is a great way to make a passive income. And on EOS, it didn't look like it was the same model. I thought, well, maybe in the future, there was a hope of being able to rent out my bandwidth, right? I think that's what we were kind of thinking. Rent out the bandwidth using my tokens. I still own the tokens, but maybe I could rent them out and someone would pay me for them so that they didn't have to outright buy a bunch of tokens. But what it's looking like now is not only will we be able to rent out our tokens in the future if we want to, but we have this other option of staking and making interest on our staked tokens. So that is essentially the same interest-bearing model that the Ethereum Casper blockchain, a slightly different way of doing it, but essentially money in my pocket for just holding my tokens. So phenomenally pumped about that. Can't wait for that to get put in place. And let's just scroll up here. So there was this comment. He said, transactions per second is just the latest megahertz war. Soon it will be core count, sidechain war. And he has a great way of putting things in perspective like that. It's so true. On processors and CPUs, if you've noticed, the speed of processors hasn't really changed that much in the past like 10 years. And what are we seeing? We're seeing core increases, the number of cores running at a certain frequency. And so Dan's just saying, hey, you know, there's all this fuss about transactions per second, and that's basically the same thing as this whole fuss about the megahertz wars back in the day. You know, we're going from 200 megahertz processor, 500 megahertz, 1,000, a gigahertz processor. You know, that was the megahertz war. And now we're on the core war. And so basically for EOS, transactions per second is just that first stage. The second stage will be parallelization, which is the sidechains. How many sidechains can you add to the network to increase throughput in parallel fashion? And so that's what he's referring to there. Real genius. This guy, I feel like he's such a visionary. He can just take concepts that are maybe not even yet existing and put them into layman's terms for all of us to see. Also, I noticed this just interesting couple of comments here. He says, ETH exaggerates its adoption. 1,600 users for 650 so-called dApps. So-called. So I guess Dan has quantified the number of users using dApps on Ethereum, and it's not very many. I'm not sure where he got that information from, but he does not think that Ethereum has very high adoption. I don't know, I debate that either way. Maybe he's correct that it doesn't have that many dApps, but it's still by far the most heavily used blockchain out there. There's no doubting the fact that Ethereum is highly successful. But I think just based on how, again, Dan thinks very big and can kind of look to the future to envision things and put it into regular world concepts, I think he really, really envisions that the state that blockchain needs to be is so huge that the part of the pie that Ethereum is touching and capturing is insignificantly small. And I think Dan just feels like not threatened at all by that. And if it's 650 dApps that Ethereum's got going for it, wait till EOS has thousands, tens of thousands of dApps running on EOS, all with being able to scale. So I can kind of capture from this couple of messages the essence of what Dan is looking at as a visionary in the blockchain space. So anyways, that was just interesting. Dan drops bombs on Telegram from time to time, and it's always exciting to just see what he's thinking, you know, in the moment. All right, and moving on to the next point of news here, we have a game in EOS. I don't think that Ethereum had games like this built within the first month of its existence, but we have King of EOS. This is kingofeos.com. I am not affiliated with them whatsoever. Cool 3D graphics. It's a very, very, very simple game. I haven't even played it myself, but the instructions are very simple. So what you have here is 3 flags, a giant flag, a medium flag, and a small flag, represented on this spinning castle. So notice there's a British flag, a diamond, and a little flag here. And that is these 3 flags. Here's the British flag, diamond, a little flag here. First place, second place, and third place. You'll notice the current first place winner is currently at 2,400 EOS. Let's just do a quick thing on that. 2,447 EOS times $8.07 for the current EOS price gives us $19,000. So this user has bet 20,000 US dollars on the first place prize currently. There's 6 days, a little over 6 days left. The games go in 7-day periods. It's basically a form of gambling and playing chicken. And so you bet more than the last person, and until someone's not willing to bet anymore, and then that last person's left holding the bag. So let's scroll down and check out the rules here. What is King of EOS? King of EOS is a smart contract living on the EOS blockchain. Become a king, make a profit, or immortalize your kingdom forever on the blockchain. The game is simple in its rules, but complex in its strategy. 1. Become a king at a cost. You can dethrone the current king by paying 1.35 times the price he paid for the throne. So I guess what this means is you take the first place guy. So if you want to dethrone this king, you'd have to pay 1.5 or 1.35 times 2447 EOS. So you'd have to pay 3,300 EOS to dethrone this king. Number 2, if you are the king and someone else claims your throne, you will get the price he paid. So it sounds like if I paid that 3,300 EOS to that first place king, he'd get that money. And so he'd be profiting on that. But I'm banking on the fact that someone else is going to come and buy me out at 1.35 times what I paid, and so on, until no one's willing to pay. Step 3. If you stay king for 7 consecutive days, the kingdom will be forever yours, and a new kingdom will start. The kingdom will be forever yours at the price of 1.35 times what the last user paid. Not a cheap cost. And it says, you will be immortalized as the ruler of this kingdom on the blockchain and in the Hall of Fame. So it will be on the blockchain forevermore, listed as the guy who paid 1.35 times more than the last guy and never got bought out. So we'll see. The price keeps going up. We got 6 days left. King of EOS. Looks like a fun game. It's basically just gambling. Okay, and moving right along to EOSnetworkmonitor.io. As you all know, EOS's one of its major features is speed, transactions per second. And we recently hit some records on that. And so where are we at right now? 3,097 transactions per second is the current record, the all-time high. That's the peak performance. And just as a comparison, for Ethereum, probably about 20, 30 transactions per second. For Bitcoin, between 3 and 7 transactions per second. So we are in another stratosphere here, 3,097 transactions per second, several orders of magnitude greater. And that's with a single chain. Wait till we hit parallelization and we expand on multi-threaded EOS. We are going to see 50,000, 100,000 transactions per second. And I think we're going to see that pretty soon, actually. That brings us to our next point of news. So we have Mike Novogratz, billionaire investor in block.one, and he says EOS will soon reach 50,000 transactions per second. And I imagine he probably has some inside info that we may not have, just being an investor and being connected to block.one. So in this article, he says it should be doing 50,000 transactions per second in a few months. And I made some notes here, and I put, so right now, I think block.one is onboarding VCs and making business connections for the future growth of EOS. Huge dApps and partnerships are in the works from the rumors of Brendan Bloomer. I think the recent news of Peter Thiel and Mike Novogratz investing in block.one is just the beginning. We should be hearing some news on Steemit 2.0, BitShares 3.0, and he said he was polishing those up a little while ago, so hopefully we'll hear some updates on this. So we just have so much momentum going here. We have so many big investors, so much big money, so much capital, so many dApps on the horizon, and so many business connections. And I think there's things going on behind the scenes, these multi-million-dollar deals that are going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, that are going to come to the surface in the future. All right, and let's do a quick update on Telos. Just to keep you guys informed on this. So I did a couple videos on Telos. I'm just keeping informed on it lightly. And I noticed that when I was doing these videos, the common criticism, if there was one from the community, because there's many good things about Telos, was just the fact that it seemed to de-whale the big whales on the ICO for EOS, but then it sort of reinstated other whales, because previously 1 million Telos tokens were supposed to be given to 6 block producers. So basically 6 instant whales were going to be created. But Telos Network listened to the community and basically changed that. They removed that completely. So there are no longer 1 million tokens going to 6 whales. They've actually released this article, Telos Network Weekly Report, July 19. It says, Revised Telos Contributor Rewards Model. The Telos Group has revised the Telos white paper to reflect changes in its previous approach to rewarding those contributors who are working to create the Telos network. The original approach elicited some concerns from the community that paying 1 million Telos tokens to each of 6 active block producers may overly centralize the rewards. On reflection, the community's point is well taken. TLG members, which is Telos Launch Group, agreed that the original approach is too rigid and centralized in its rewards. Instead, the Telos Launch Group will establish a Telos Founders Reward Pool of 6 million Telos. So they're taking the same amount of Telos that they were going to reward to 6 block producers, and they're just putting it into a fund. And that fund will be distributed amongst a much broader group of participants based on their contributions. So they're doing a contribution reward-based model, which is transparent. They say this approach better distributes the rewards and also encourages new partners to join the group throughout the launch process rather than just in the beginning. The members of the Telos Launch Group have joined working groups to organize their efforts. Each member's contributions will be tracked week to week in order to determine their share of the Telos Founders Reward Pool. And I liked how a user framed the Telos network, because it actually is a separate blockchain. It's not technically an airdrop. It is its own blockchain with its own tokens. And so it's not even running on top of EOS. It's sort of like the sister blockchain to EOS being the big brother, for lower, RAM costs and things like that for developers who maybe don't get the funding from EOS, that, that $4 billion war chest. Maybe there's developers who don't qualify, who don't get that. And so rather than pay super high RAM fees, Telos may offer a way for those developers to get started more inexpensively. And so I think it's a great idea. And it really just acts as another sidechain in effect. And they very well may be linked up. Any contract that runs on Telos runs on EOS. Any contract that runs on EOS runs on Telos. And so they're very interoperable like that. And the thing the users said was that just view it as an airdrop. It's another dividend that we're getting as holders of EOS, whether it's a token on the EOS blockchain, like most airdrops, or it's just TLOS, a new blockchain token. It's free funds. And so it's just another airdrop in all intents and purposes to us. And I think it may be one of the best ones. I think it's up there with the Everipedia. Telos may even be number 1, and then Everipedia so far looks like the next best airdrop to me. And so I'm going to be holding on to my Telos tokens. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate your comments and your subscriptions and your interaction. The reason I do this is actually not to monetize. I do not monetize this. I do not put ads on my YouTube channel, and I never will, because I'm not doing this to make money off of this YouTube channel. I'm doing this because I enjoy crypto so much, and I enjoy EOS, and I enjoy sharing this with you, that I just like this as part of my life. You allow me to turn this activity into a group activity so that I can share it with you guys. And I think that's fun. I just enjoy that. I enjoy it when you leave comments and I can answer back and we can have a conversation about this type of thing. So thank you for enabling me to have a community to work with and to grow and to share with on this. I really find it a fun experience. To end on this, I want to show you something I made. It's an EOS metal artwork. It's 20 inches by 30 inches. It's printed on aluminum. And I want to give this to the community. I want to think of a way, a game that we can do to, you guys can earn this. So I'm going to show you. So right here, this is the artwork. Again, you'll see it's super reflective. And so yeah, it's 20 inches by 30 inches. It's aluminum, highly reflective. It's got hanging brackets on the back so that it can be hung. I want to give this out to you guys. So basically here's the offer. Something that maybe helps promote my channel, you know, gets me in front of more people. And the person who does that the most and convinces me the most that they've accomplished that, I will mail this to you. And the only condition is that you have to live in America because shipping costs are very high and this is quite heavy. This is probably 5-10 pounds. And with the packaging material that's very safe, it'll weigh a good 10 to 20 pounds. So I'm willing to ship it anywhere in America for free to you guys. Convince me that you helped me reach the most people possible, and I will be happy to mail this to you. And I will announce in a future video who the winner of this is, who basically convinced me that they helped me reach the most people. And I will mail this to them. I have no qualms with this. This was a many $100 creation, by the way, just so you know what you're getting here. So I think you'll appreciate it as much as I do. I have one hung up on my wall. This is the only other one in existence. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you're having a great day and take care. Go EOS.